Hi, and welcome back to Cooking with Casey. Today we're going to make a spring salad, and we're going to use that olive oil, parsley, cilantro dressing that we made yesterday. So we're going to throw some chicken in the pan, we're going to steam some vegetables, and it's going to be delicious. So we're going to start with the chicken because that's going to take the longest to cook. So I've already chopped it up here a little tiny bit, and we're going to throw it into a cast iron skillet. And I'm going to add some spices, of course, because who doesn't like some good, yummy spices? And I like to put the spices in first. We're going to use some coconut oil. That way their aroma and their properties can get ignited before we add the chicken, especially seeds. So I'm going to add some fennel seeds. We want the fennel seeds to get activated a little bit before we start putting in that chicken. So with the cast iron skillet, it heats up pretty quickly and it stays extra hot, so your chicken's going to get nice and crispy. We've got fennel seeds, coriander, cumin, ginger, salt, and pepper. So we'll start with the fennel seeds. And you'll know when it's time to put the chicken in when the spices get kind of aromatic, for technical terms. Some cumin and some coriander. These are great digestive spices as well, so I like to add them as often as possible. Oh, and we have some garlic, of course. Bloop. If you've never cooked in a cast iron skillet before, it's kind of life-changing. And we need a spatula. So with a cast iron skillet, I like how it makes the chicken nice and crispy on the outside, and the way it heats up everything nice and evenly. If you don't want a crispy chicken, I recommend baking or something. That's always a good choice as well. All right, we'll let that go in there. And I've just got some organic chicken breast right in here, chopped up nice into little chunks so that they can get maximum amount of seasoning on them. And it cooks a little faster too. And I'm usually hungry when I'm eating, so I'm all about the efficiency when it comes to cooking that chicken. All right, looks like we're ready to throw the chicken in here. Perfect. I'm going to add a little bit more coconut oil because the pan was actually kind of dry. You don't want it to be sticky. No sticky chicken. There we are there. The coconut oil over here. Magnificent. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to the chicken now. Sea salt, of course. All the minerals. I know some people say that, oh, don't have salt, it's bad for you. No, salt is actually very good for you. All of the processes to create ATP or energy in our body, there is a sodium-potassium pump. Sodium is salt. We need sodium and potassium to let that happen. I know you can't smell it, but it smells absolutely delicious over here. All right. We're gonna let that sit. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this. I'm all about the flavor. And when you satisfy your flavor, your taste buds, nice and juicy, you actually don't want to eat as much because you're satisfied. You know when something is bland, you have to eat more of it to get that fulfilling taste. But when your taste buds are satisfied and your nutritional needs are satisfied, you don't need to eat as much. All right, chicken. We're gonna let that do its thing. So in the meantime, we're gonna steam some vegetables. So what I like about steaming vegetables is it warms it up, number one, and it's going to allow you to cook it a little bit so it's a little easier to break down in your body. For example, the cell wall is quite hard to break down in a vegetable. And so sometimes after you eat a raw salad, you're like, woo! Well, when you steam, you're going to reduce that a bit, but you're still going to keep a lot of its nutrition in, because people say, oh, when you cook vegetables, you lose the nutrition. Yes, if you burn it to a crisp, but just a nice little steaming goes a long way. And we're going to use our cruciferous vegetables today. So we're going to start with the broccoli because that's going to take a little longer, and then we're going to move over to our kale, and my favorite for the spring is dandelion. Dandelion is an awesome detoxifier, and that's why you notice in the grass everyone has their dandelion growing everywhere. It's because it's a spring weed, I'll call it. But the earth knows what nutrients we need at what time. So just look out in nature, and that'll tell you what you should be eating for the season. Eat with the seasons, everybody. So the way I'm gonna steam these vegetables, because I don't have a steamer here, is I'm gonna heat up some water in this pan right here, boil it, and then I'm going to use a strainer as my steaming basket. Pop that on. Nope, we don't want flames going up the side. It looks cool, but keep it down a little bit here. All right, we're gonna put some broccoli in here. Make sure you wash all of your vegetables, even if they're organic. I know we like to buy everything fresh, and if you can go to the farmer's market, that's great, but you don't know who touched it before you, so, you know, let's just give it a little rinse. And especially with the thinner lettuces, I like to rinse them and let them sit for a bit so they're not already wet and then get soggy while you're cooking. Let's check in our chicken. Looking good. I love the smell of garlic. So garlic is actually great. It's the active ingredient is allicin, and allicin is a wonderful antimicrobial, meaning it helps you not get sick. You know, when you were younger, you'd have to have chicken noodle soup and all the garlic and all of that. There was a reason for that. All right, let's see here. Nope, that is not the boiling quite yet. We'll cut up our kale here. Oh, and get this. When I was washing my kale, guess what fell out? A worm. He was like this big. I feel bad I took his home, but I think he was already dead. And when you cut up vegetables such as kale or spinach, you're actually releasing more of its nutritional properties. If you think about it, you're putting it in danger, right? When you're cutting up spinach or you're cutting up kale, you're releasing its antioxidant properties because it doesn't want to be cut up, so it's releasing all of its protective mechanisms. Kind of morbid, kind of appropriate. Cut up some dandelion. Our dog loves dandelions, by the way. Every time we take him on a walk, he just wants to eat all of the yellow dandelions. It's quite endearing, and then people, you know, they're like, oh, look, he's weeding my lawn for me. Cool. Almost boiling water over here. Ooh, it's nice and warm. It's freezing out today here, so this feels great. Chicken is looking good. Getting a little brown on the outside. And I see we have some bubbling. So I'm going to take the broccoli and I just put it in this little strainer right here. Again, if you don't have a steamer or a steamer basket. And then you're just going to place it right into the pot. I put the lid back on, lower the heat a little bit. There you go. And we're just gonna let that sit. So the water that is boiling into the gaseous water molecules are going to go up into the broccoli. It's gonna soften the broccoli, so when you just stick a fork in it, it's gonna be super soft. I could eat fresh broccoli steamed just with some like olive oil on it all day. It's so good. Okay, this can go in the sink. This was meat. Focus. We are cooking now. And this is our dressing. So if you remember from yesterday, this was the cilantro and parsley olive oil dressing with fresh olive oil straight from Greece. Thank you to my sister's boyfriend's grandma who just sends it straight from the motherland. So good. We'll be putting that on later. Chicken is still cooking. Looking good. It's getting sizzling up in here. I like to keep constantly turning the chicken as well, so you brown one side a little bit, brown the other side, give it a little flip. Check on our broccoli. Another way to tell if your vegetables are done is when they're like a very bright, vibrant color. That is an excellent way to decide when they are done. Or if you stick a fork in it and it just goes whoop right in like butter, you know you're almost there. Speaking of fork, let's check out this broccoli. Oh yeah. Broccoli is ready. So, just take a peek at this broccoli here. Ooh, it's steaming. It is so good. I'm going to take the broccoli and put it right into our dish here. And now I'm going to put the kale and the dandelion, give it a little steam. And be careful with these vegetables. They're going to steam so fast. And you don't want to steam it too much that they lose their crisp and their texture, because then you're just eating like, you know, when you cook kale and spinach, it turns into like this much. Like you put a whole bag into the pan or whatever you're cooking in, and then you get like this much. No, not about that. I like to see it all. Whoa. Careful, flying cruciferous. That in there. Check on our chicken. It's almost done. Oh yeah, it smells so good. Looking good too. Almost there. And the kale and the dandelion are probably, yes, finito. Turn that off. Look at that. That's the brightest green ever. I'm gonna let this sit outside of the dish for a moment, because now all that steam, it will condense back into water droplets and then it gets really soggy again. So the nice thing about the strainer is you can let it kind of air out before you put it into something. So I'm gonna leave that right here and let it air, but it's still got a nice little crunch to it. Oh, and now it's all over the counter. That's great too. 5-second rule, counter's clean. Here we go. And wash your hands. Make sure you wash your hands before you cook. There's no worms left in our kale. That's always a plus too. All right, there we go. Place that right there. Our chicken should just be about done now. Oh yeah, she's ready. Perfect. Nice and white on the inside. So you don't want any pink left on the chicken. You want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. So I always like to just like take a little choop choop into a piece to double check that. And it looks like we are good. All right, turn that off. Put this right in here. Got a nice big old salad happening. We've got our broccoli, we've got our kale, we've got our dandelion. Ooh, probably could have used a bigger bowl. And now we're gonna throw our chicken right on top. And the chicken is turned off, but it's still sizzling away. Tell me about it, chicken. Oh yeah. And I always like to cook extra so I have leftovers so I don't have to cook every single day. And do dishes every single day. Ooh, get some crispy garlic in there too. Da, 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 da. Look at that, nice and crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside. Now I'm going to add our dressing. It's been sitting in the fridge, so you want to shake it up a little bit because some of the heavier pieces of cilantro and parsley might sink to the bottom a little bit. Grab a fork, mix it up, take a nice spoonful, and pour it all right on top there. And one last thing for the final touch, sprouts. I love sprouts. I have broccoli sprouts this week. I try and pick a different one every week. Sprouts are so incredibly, and microgreens are incredibly nutritious, the most nutritionally dense part of the vegetable there, because it's not fully grown quite yet. Okay, that was a lot, but that's okay. So I like to add some texture, some extra nutrients there, and they're just all around good. And there we have it, our salad made with our kale, our broccoli, our seasoned chicken, our broccoli sprouts, and our homemade olive oil, cilantro, and parsley dressing. There you go. Give it a try and let me know how you like it.